All right, guys, welcome back into another episode of To The Show Baseball Podcast presented by Beyond the Monster. I am your host, Andrew Parker, and today's episode, I'm dipping back into the Tampa Bay Rays system, and I have Owen Wild on, and Owen just won the AA Pitcher of the Week for Montgomery for his performance fresh off of an IL stint to start the year. He had 7 innings that week, and he was absolutely untouchable. So we talk a little bit about him coming back off the IL, having like a weird offseason, dealing with some injuries, things like that. So, we talk a little bit about that and what was working for him to win Pitcher of the Week. And then we also talk about a lot of other things. He's up on velocity right now. And it was very nice to hear just, his background and I guess what he used that injury, to kind of come back and be strong like that in his AA debut. But before I go any further, if you're watching me on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Apple Podcast, please like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, whatever, comment, tell me I'm doing bad, great, whatever. It helps a ton. But without further ado, I'll quit yapping and head to the interview with Owen Wild. All right, guys, I am joined by Owen Wild of the Tampa Bay Rays system. It's actually our second member of the Rays organization over the last couple of weeks. We had Ty Cummings on as well, who had a fantastic week the week before. But Owen is fresh off winning AA Pitcher of the Week for his performances over the last week, and that's kind of where I want to start. Owen, what was clicking this week? I know that you kind of started on the IL. You had a late start to your year, but what clicked this past week?
Just first pitch strikes and the race to 2 strikes. It's a big thing that the Rays talk about. Every meeting pregame, we're just talking about trying to beat hitters, getting to 0-1, 0-2, and then from there we're just trying to strike out every hitter we can. And obviously it ended up working out pretty well. With the Biloxi lineup ended up swinging early or getting to 2 strikes and a couple punch outs here and there. So had a pretty good week.
So how difficult was that for you to, obviously start the year on the IL and, obviously not ideal for you, I'm guessing, and not for anybody out there. So how difficult was that for you to, to kind of adjust that once you did come back and, you knew you were a little behind from everybody else coming out of spring. So I guess talk me through that. Like what was that experience like?
Yeah, it was definitely a little different this year. I've never really been hurt my entire career up to this point. So coming in spring training last year, fully healthy, had a good spring training, got out on time. So this year at the end of last season, my arm was bugging me a little bit. Made it through the whole season, made it through playoffs. We ended up winning our championship. But then once I took a couple weeks off and started playing catch again, it kind of just didn't feel right. So we got some imaging done. It came back not too bad, but they want to be extra careful considering I could take my time ramping up. So I ended up not playing catch until that first week of January. Once I started playing a catch again, I felt great. Elbow feels good. My whole body feels good. But at that point, my first day of catch was, I think, like January 5th. So got to build up all the way to being able to start again. So that was definitely hard coming into spring training with all the other starting pitchers when they come into that early camp and they're all throwing bullpens and complaining about not getting to go live yet. And meanwhile, I'm playing catch out to 90 feet, 105 feet. So most of spring training was just the buildup, and I actually got into a game at the end of spring training. But my pitch count, my inning count wasn't there yet. So they had me stay a couple weeks in Port Charlotte and ended up throwing three innings the week before they sent me out. Let me know I was going to AA. Got pretty fired up and met the team at home here in Montgomery. And then once we hit the road, they gave me the Tuesday, Sunday right off the bat. So getting 2 outings under my belt, pitch limit on both of them. So that's why I ended up going 3 and then 4. And hopefully this week I'll get to go 5 and keep building up that way. But no, it was definitely pretty special winning player of the week my first week up there.
Yeah, and I did want to follow up. Obviously, you had a different offseason, one that you weren't fully healthy or you weren't able to do exactly what you wanted to do. So what does a pitcher do whenever they do have limitations? Like, if they can't go throw or anything, like what did you use your offseason to focus on?
Yeah, so that was a little bit of a talking point right before the season ended, before I even knew I was kind of hurt. Was what did I want to get better at in the off season? Obviously, I had a pretty good year last year, and my big focus was trying to do anything I could to maybe add 1 mile an hour, 2 miles an hour. So it was trying to get stronger, trying to move faster, move better mobility. And then obviously when I got hurt, I wasn't able to do a lot of those things. But looking back, I kind of take it as a little blessing in the fact that while I wasn't able to play catch, I ended up going to physical therapy and getting to figure out things about my body I didn't even know. There's these little muscles on your back that I've kind of neglected my whole time in college and pro ball. I didn't know all these different exercises you can do to get stronger and hopefully pitch healthier. And so now coming back, I think my fastball velocity is actually up 1 or 2 based from last year to this year. So hopefully keep doing my exercises and keep moving forward in that direction.
So if you said it's up like a couple miles per hour, where are you usually sitting at these days, and what are you topping at?
I think right now I'm averaging about 92, 93, and I'll touch about 95 most outings. Last year I might get up to 95, but sometimes my average was down almost to 91, 92. So hopefully I keep that going. These are shorter outings, so I don't want to jump the gun there, but feeling pretty good these last couple weeks.
So what does the rest of the pitch mix look like as well as with the fastball?
Yeah, so I'm throwing carry fastball, big piece of my arsenal. I'm throwing it a huge percentage of the time. They never really messed with that. I love throwing fastballs, and I might not throw the hardest, but if I throw it by guys, it makes me feel good. So I always try to do that. Then I'm browning it out with. I also have a slider and a changeup. We're actually messing around with the changeup right now. We're playing with the new kick changeup everybody's been talking about.
Oh yeah,
that whole wave going around baseball. I've always felt good with my changeup. I've never really had problems with it, but according to their pitch models, and this is the Rays way, they have really, really good models that tell you if your pitch is going to play in the big leagues. And they wanted me to try out the kick change, see if we can get the stuff plus numbers to go even higher. So that's what we're messing around with right now.
Yeah, I had this conversation with Ty Cummings when I had him on a week or so ago, but he was a guy that had started his career in a different organization. He was in Seattle and he ended up going in a trade to Tampa. So one thing that I was talking to him about is, the Rays are known for producing arms, like unlike any other organization around baseball. So for you, whenever you learn that you get drafted by the Tampa Bay Rays, does that give you added confidence to be like, I'm going to a place that's known around for producing arms the way they do?
Yeah, no, I was super excited. The moment I got drafted, knew I was going to Tampa Bay. That was probably the first thing I thought of was, wow, these guys they're known for pitch development. I mean, I think it's the Rays and the Dodgers are the 1 and the 2 in terms of getting guys better at playing pitching in professional baseball, and that was super exciting for me to get drafted. I also, funny story, my area scouts from the same small town that I'm from, over in Gig Harbor, Washington. So in terms of just getting to be drafted, I didn't have any pre-draft meetings with the Rays because he's known me since I was 14. He never had to ask me about what I was doing in the offseason because I would just see him when I went home. So getting he was the first guy that called me from the Rays after I got drafted, and that was a pretty special moment.
So I see, you're obviously a Gonzaga guy, which I don't really see too much, I guess, baseball love for Gonzaga. Obviously, everybody always knows about them in basketball, but baseball-wise at Gonzaga, what was it like playing there? And obviously, you're a West Coast guy, so you're from there. But for the guys that are maybe on the East Coast or maybe in the middle of the United States that don't ever really show love to the West teams out there, what was it like, I guess, going to school out there and living on the West Coast?
It was cold, definitely. No, it was really fun. Really, really good group of guys there. The class above me. So when I got there, they were either sophomores or that COVID freshman class. I was coming into a mid-major Gonzaga. Obviously, they're pretty good every year, but I was coming in. I was going to be upper 80s, low 90s, thinking maybe I can carve out some playing time. I showed up for that first fall scrimmage after that COVID break, and I think we had seven or 8 guys hit 96 plus. I was like, who are these guys, right? I'm supposed to be able to come in at 90, 92 and go compete for a spot. And I only ended up throwing 2 innings that first year just because of how talented that roster was. But I think we had some future big leaguers I got to play with. One current, actually, Alec Jacobs in the big leagues with the Padres. He was our Friday night guy my freshman year. So I actually, funny story, I got to be on the radar gun for his no-hitter down in Pepperdine.
Ooh.
I mean, not that I would have wanted to be on the radar gun, obviously, but I ended up getting to travel that week, and I was the one writing down the velo on every one of his. He was about 84 to 86. his little sidearm funky delivery. Still doing that for the Padres, doing a little harder now. But a couple other names like Gabriel Hughes, William Kempner, Tristan Vreeling, Brody Jesse, all guys that got drafted that class ahead of me. So just getting a day in, day out, seeing them in the weight room, seeing them on the field, how they work, definitely made a huge change to how I was as a player. I always thought I came in and I was a hardworking guy, but seeing the way those guys got after it really helped me get better in the long run.
So I never I never know if this is right or wrong, but I saw on your baseball reference page, it said you were from Sacramento. Was that true? Are you a California guy?
I was born in Sacramento. My mom was in the Air Force down in California. So I was born, I think I was the one child that wasn't born on the Air Force base because she had to do her civilian residency. She's a doctor. So we were born down in California. Then when she got out of the Air Force, we moved up to Washington. That's where I was in Gig Harbor for most of my time growing up.
Okay, so you claim Washington as your home
Yeah,
state.
absolutely. Yeah, I moved up second or third grade. But if anything, you can claim the California part is maybe that's why I'm a good pitcher. I know a lot of good pitchers come out of California. So
hey, Pacific Northwest, man. I've talked to a few guys from up there, and there's some names coming out of the Pacific Northwest now. And Oregon and Washington cannot be slept on any longer. But so you're a Washington State guy. And you are playing baseball on the East Coast now. So was that a little bit of an adjustment? Like once you got drafted by Tampa, and you up in Washington, having to go all the way down to Florida and just play out there, like how difficult was that to adjust?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably the farthest away from our spring training site out of everybody that shows up. Like I think when I had to ship my car and fly over, but I don't think you can get much further away from Port Charlotte, Washington. But then even once I broke camp last year and went to Charleston, Bowling Green, the two different affiliates in A-ball for us, and we were going all these cities I'd never even heard of. And some of the guys that were from down here, they're like, "Oh, we're going wherever." I was like, I don't think I could point that out on a map. But so it was pretty cool seeing up and down like the Carolina League and the Sally League, getting to see all these towns I don't want to say never heard of, but some of them are a little bit middle of nowhere, and I don't think I would have. I don't think I ever would have been to some of these towns if I hadn't been playing baseball with the Rays. So I'm pretty grateful for that opportunity.
Yeah, it's you might possibly be the farthest drive unless somebody's from Alaska or Hawaii or whatever,
exactly.
but you might be the farthest. But yeah, I was always curious because some guys, they're East Coast guys their whole life. They've never really been out Pacific Northwest, and they get drafted by the Mariners, and it's like, well, we're playing up in Eugene or wherever they're playing, and it's like I can only imagine like the time difference. Your family's on the opposite coast. It's like I can only imagine like how different it is. But I have a couple questions left for you before I do let you slide. I know this is a very small sample size. I know you've only had 2 outings, and they were both literally this past week in AA. But what have been your thoughts of you had never been to AA before? So what have been your thoughts? Like I said, two outings, 7 innings, not a whole lot to go off of. But has there been any noticeable changes that you've seen from high A?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I don't want to get too ahead of myself because I've only really thrown those 7 innings so far, but it feels like some of the hitters have a better approach in terms of when I was in, especially low A to high A, I noticed a lot of hitters went from just swinging at everything or anything to kind of having a little bit of a plan. I feel like some of these AA hitters, at least from what I've seen, have more of a plan in terms of they're not going up there to swing at anything that looks good. And most of my pitches are pretty straight up until the last minute. I don't have a big breaking ball per se. So a lot of my stuff's going to look pretty good coming in. And so I get a lot of swings usually, but seeing some takes early in counts or maybe not swinging at that first pitch breaking ball, right? It's a little bit different, but I'm enjoying it for sure. The challenge of knowing a guy, if maybe they're sitting on a certain pitch, whereas in A ball, they're kind of up there swinging away and trying to do damage early. But this one, I can go pitch backwards. I can have kind of success doing what I used to do in college when guys had a little bit more of a plan instead of just relying on some of those A-ball hitters just have insane power, super raw tools, and that's how they did their damage. And now I feel like I'm doing a little bit more pitching, which is kind of fun.
So, we kind of talked about a little bit that you were a little behind in this past spring training. So I don't know if this one's going to be the best example of it, but you're kind of you're becoming a veteran now of spring training. You've now had a couple under your belt now, and you're not that rookie that's going in and it's your first ever one. So you've had a couple under your belt now. What is one of your favorite experiences or just things about spring training so far that you've got to experience?
The coolest thing I think I've seen in spring training is just getting to play against some of the big leaguers. Obviously, the Rays aren't super prospecty in pitching in terms of the big league camp. I know there's some other camps where you're going to go see pitchers that either got drafted the year before or just quickly get to big league camp. We don't really do that. We have plenty of arms through the org that are very talented. So I don't think anyone from my draft class was in big league camp this year. They might have backed up a game or two, but I obviously didn't get in any of those, being that I wasn't ready to go until that last week. But we went down to even my last week of spring training this year. I had my 1 inning start at the Braves, and while we were down there, I got to see Acuna, McCann, Verdugo, all these big league names that either needed more at bats, or I know Acuna was coming off an injury, but getting to face those kind of guys, they ended up on the other field when I threw my first inning. So I only faced, I think, McCann. Grounded out off of me, but the guy that threw behind me had like 4 or 5 sets behind me, and he had to face Acuna, he had to face all those guys over and over. And I think that's the cool part of spring training is we wouldn't normally get to face some of those big names. I don't even think Acuna was running out of the box, but if you're pitching against him and you can go strike out a big league all-star, I mean, that's pretty cool. That's fun for sure.
Yeah, especially for a guy, your age and at the level you'd just come out of high A at that point too. And you're just kind of like, if you got to face him, it is kind of a cool thing. All right. I got 2 questions left before I let you go. Non-baseball related here. I want to know what you do in your free time. So say the Monday off day, or, you just have a morning off. Like, what are you doing with your free time?
Yeah, I mean, 2 biggest things for me, it's golf and video games. Super easy, but I love to get out there on the course and go swing it. The only time that really stops me is like this past week we had our Monday off day, but I'm starting Tuesday. I don't want to go play a full 18 and be sore that next day. But like this past off day, getting to get out there and I only hit the range, but playing golf anytime I can. Spring training's a big time for that. I know that was a big piece when I got hurt. They didn't want me to golf until I was throwing bullpens again.
Ooh,
yeah, I was out there. I was putting and chipping. I figured that was probably fine, and then I think I hit the range the day of my first bullpen, and I was playing 18 by the end of the week. So that's I love playing golf, and then if I can't, that's video games my other option. Keep my body kind of more rested.
Yeah, it's a classic pitcher thing. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I feel like if you're a pitcher that does not golf, you are in the minority for sure.
Yes.
What are you MLB Show? Like, what are you playing these days?
Right now, yeah, MLB The Show. Playing around. They sent me one of those 99 overall cards. And
Oh yeah.
jumping online. I didn't do it a lot last year, but jumping online with some of my teammates, we can get out there. We can use 3 99 overall cards, especially early when the game just comes out. Nobody else has good enough cards, and playing with like Xavier Isaac, he's got his 99 overall first base card, and I mean that thing rakes.
Yeah, he rakes as well.
Yeah, he also
in real life.
But
All right, I got one question left for you here. We talked about it a little bit. You're a West Coast guy. You're now playing out towards East Coast, sort of. I know Montgomery's not like super East Coast, but you're far away from home. What is one thing that you miss the most about from back home that you can't get in the eastern part of the United States?
That's a good question. Probably the weather, honestly. That's the fresh air in the Pacific Northwest. You can't beat it. I don't think it sounds bad, but I don't think I've smelled the same fresh air with the green trees that you get out in the PNW. Just
I believe it.
Humidity and temperature and whatnot. I know my parents flew out last weekend and they were complaining because they went from 90s and sunny in Biloxi to back home in the 50s, but I really don't mind it, especially summers out in the PNW. You can't beat the weather out there.
Yeah, that's literally the only part of the country I've never been to. So
Really?
it's on the bucket list. Me and the wife are definitely going to head out there eventually. But
Yeah.
Owen, I appreciate all the time. Thank you so much for doing this, and obviously best of luck going forward here in 2025.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.